much they can do, but as you all know, with social media, it can do a lot of harm, right? And in terms of tracking, it can be very scary, because you always feel like you're being watched, right? So that is technological abuse. Any questions about any of the 6 types of abuse? Yeah?
So is there any time where, I guess, you know, there are like couples who do share, you know, an app, and then one of them uses the app for the other thing? You know, how would that be described as, like, in terms of abuse? Does it fall?
Yeah, so it's all about control. If you and your partner communicate and you're like, yeah, let's do this, and we want to do this together, and we want to share passwords, you know, then that's okay, right? Because you're doing that together, you're making that choice together. It's when your partner says to you, you know, you don't have a choice, basically. There are consequences if you don't give me your password, or we don't, you know, if I don't have access to your phone or whatever it is.
So I mean, like, in terms of, say, if they have a Roomba or something, and then the abusive partner just starts having a run at night and say, why do you do that? Like, you know, that type of, like, you know, does that fall under, I guess, technological?
It would be kind of technological and emotional, because a lot of folks talk about that as gaslighting. It's very, yeah, we get that now too, where folks will say, like, things were turned on in their home because we all have, like, you know, a Nest or whatever it is. And so things were turned on in their home that they didn't turn on. And so they go home and find that these things are happening, but they didn't know. Yeah. So it can be really like a form of gaslighting and stalking. Yeah. Technological abuse and emotional abuse, really. Yeah. So again, all of these things do not have to be present in an abusive relationship, right? It could be some of these forms of abuse. It could be all of them. Okay. In terms of a pattern, there is a pattern with domestic violence, with abusive relationships. It's important to understand it so that, let's say, if you have a friend who's going through this, you can understand it, right? What's happening. So in all relationships, there's that honeymoon phase where everything is great, right? You're in love, everything's perfect. If you're in an abusive relationship, it moves toward a tension building phase. Survivors often call this walking on eggshells. So they're not sure what's going to set their partner off, and so they're just sort of walking on eggshells. They don't know when the next abusive incident is going to happen. It's called tension building. Then right here is a trigger. That trigger can literally be anything. You know, you looked at that person the wrong way. I don't like what you're wearing. Whatever it is, right? The house isn't clean. There's some sort of trigger. And then there's the explosive incident, right? And again, that could be any form of abuse. It could be sexual abuse, could be physical, could be emotional, could be all of it. So there's the explosion. Then it moves toward a false honeymoon phase. Does anyone know why now it's called a false honeymoon? Yeah, because it happens again. And this is when the abusive partner says, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen again. Let's go to marital counseling. I was just drunk. I was just jealous. It won't happen anymore. And then it does. Then the tension starts to build. You're walking on eggshells. Something happens. There's an explosion, and it just keeps going around and around. And if there is physical violence, it usually increases as this goes around and around. So this is important in terms of, like, if you're helping someone, say, right, you might see them right after the explosion, right? And you might be really concerned about them. And sometimes we say things, we don't mean harm, but sometimes we say things that can cause harm. So things like, why do you stay, or why don't you leave, right? When that's not really helpful, especially when you're understanding of this, because the next time you talk to them, they could be up there in the honeymoon, right? They could be like, no, we're good, we worked it out, we're good. And you're like, what? What's going on, right? It's very confusing for someone on the outside looking in, but that's what that's about, okay? I think I was going to say something else about that. But speaking about the why you folks stay, I think that's, yeah. I do like to talk about this for a minute, because this is sort of the first place that where people go if you have someone you know or care about who's in an abusive relationship. Is why do you stay? Why don't you leave? I really challenge all of you to think about the home you woke up in this morning and never going back, right? It is not easy to leave any relationship, let alone an abusive one. and leaving your home, your neighborhood, your community, and moving into a friend's house or a safe house, right? It's not ideal. And so there's lots of reasons why folks stay in abusive relationships, okay? They forgive their partner, family pressure to stay together, right? Cultural pressure to stay together, fear, those threats, if you leave me, I'll kill myself, I can't live without you, right? And you care about this person. Or if you leave me, I'll take the kids and you'll never see them again, okay? So those threats sometimes can become real and they keep someone in that relationship, okay? Also wanted to say, we work at League with undocumented folks, and unfortunately now that is something that we're hearing a lot, is from their partners. We have folks coming to Weave saying their partner is saying, if I leave them, they're going to call ICE. And so it's a very scary thing. So now that is a threat that a lot of folks are coming to us with, which is very scary, right? So finances, right? So how am I going to pay for myself? How am I going to pay for taking care of the kids? Maybe if you had your name wasn't on any of the accounts because your partner didn't want your name on any of the accounts, right? Or you don't have access to the accounts. So finances, pressure from friends, again, friends and family to stay together. And really love. So here's the tricky part. Abusive relationships aren't abusive 100% of the time. There are times in the relationship when the partner is loving and caring and charming and all of that good stuff. That's what makes abusive relationships so confusing, is because sometimes they're loving and caring and other times they're abusive. And you're trying to figure out, how do we get through this so we can get back to here, okay? So it's very confusing, right? If it was abusive 100% of the time, right, it would be a little bit more clear, but that's not the case. Yeah?
Would you call that the Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah, so that's, so Stockholm Syndrome is about trauma bonding, and there's definitely trauma bonding.
So that doesn't correlate with the emotional abuse and all that?
It definitely does, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because what happens is you bond with the person who's also hurting you. So you feel empathy for that person, you love that person, you care about that person, but then they're hurting you. So you build this trauma bond relationship. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. All right, any questions? Okay, so if you are supporting someone in an abusive relationship, the most important thing to say is, how can I help you? How can I support you? Listening to them, right? And not going to that place of victim blaming. Why don't you leave? Why do you stay? Right? All that kind of stuff is more victim blaming. And the most important thing we can do is support that person, right? And be non-judgmental. All right. I'm going to keep going, but I really want you to, this information at 11 o'clock in the morning is very intense. And so I really want you all to be mindful of yourselves and taking care of yourselves, right? Because like I showed those statistics, this impacts pretty much all of us. And so if this is impacting you, please do what you need to do to take care of yourself, either in the moment or after this class, okay? And I will share what our resources are so that you have access to those resources right away if you're needing to talk to someone, okay? But please do what you need to do. If you need to step out, if you need to doodle, do whatever you need to do to take care of yourselves, okay? I'm going to keep going. This is the impact in terms of how this impacts folks who are in an abusive relationship, also folks who've been assaulted. So there is usually anxiety, right? There could be anxiety or panic attacks, depression, minimizing what's happened, blaming yourself, right? Well, if I just did this or if I did that, this wouldn't happen. Difficulty concentrating, right? So you're having difficulty concentrating in class, and you're needing support around that. Like that is definitely something that happens for folks. Again, fear, loss of trust in other people and also in yourself. Isolating yourself, right, from friends and family. Also suicidal ideation, okay? So folks who've experienced abuse in a relationship or have been assaulted, sometimes have thoughts of suicide, right? And it's not necessarily that they want to commit suicide, it's that they want the pain to end, okay? And so we deal with that. We work with folks who are thinking those thoughts and who are depressed, and we are supporting them through that, okay? But these are all very normal things for folks to experience when you've experienced trauma, like an abusive relationship or a sexual assault, okay? Any questions? Any other questions before I move on? Okay. Try and keep going here. Oh, and also unhealthy coping strategies, right? I mean, this happens for all of us. If we're stressed out, if we're depressed, sometimes we don't go to the healthiest of coping strategies, right? So sometimes we end up drinking or smoking or whatever it is to kind of numb the pain. Again, very normal for someone who's experienced trauma. So we work with folks about kind of moving from unhealthy to healthy coping strategies.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So it says the impact of domestic violence and sexual assault. Are you looking at the impact long term, or is it like an immediate impact?
Yeah, great question, both. Yeah.
Do you know if there's any neurological studies?
There's a lot of research around the impact of sexual assault and domestic violence, both short-term and long-term. Short-term, it's a lot of in shock, numbing out, shock, disbelief, denial, and minimization is more kind of initial, and then it moves toward depression and anxiety, usually. Good question, thank you. All right, I'm going to keep going because I've only got a little bit more time with you. This is the scary stat for sexual assault in college. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 16 men will be sexually assaulted during their undergraduate college experience. 4 out of 5 times the victim knows the person who sexually assaulted them. Okay, so that the stereotype of the stranger, right, assaulting, that is not the majority of the cases. It does happen, of course, but the majority of the time, 4 out of 5 times, you know the person who assaulted you, which really makes things confusing and complicated in terms of, do I report, and healing after the assault, right? Because this is someone you knew, someone you trusted, maybe someone you met at a party, maybe a family member, right? So it makes it very complicated because when you know the person who assaulted you, it just complicates everything, right? In terms of trust and safety. 80 to 90% of folks who have been sexually assaulted do not report. Why?
Fear.
Fear, embarrassment.
Sometimes it's just so difficult to repeat it.
Yeah, having to relive and repeat your story every time you tell it. Absolutely.
Sometimes they blame themselves.
Yes. If I hadn't have gone over to their apartment, if I hadn't have gone in that car, if I hadn't have drank so much, yes, blame yourself. Absolutely. Any other reasons?
Maybe they're not sure it's abuse.
Not absolutely. Yeah, I don't even know if that was abuse or assault. I just know it didn't feel right. Yeah.
Like a stigma or victim blaming, especially from him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lots of stigma, lots of victim blaming. We immediately go to the why were you there? Why did you drink so much? Whatever it is, as opposed to why did that person hurt you, right? We immediately go to the victim blaming. And for male survivors, there are additional barriers to coming forward, right? Everybody feels like who's going to believe me, but for a male survivor, it's even intensified, right? Yeah.
Maybe they think that they can handle it themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. It feels very personal and intimate and embarrassing, or maybe there's shame, and I don't want to tell anyone what happened, and maybe I don't even know really what happened, and how do I tell someone what happened? Yeah, absolutely. And maybe you can't even remember all the details, which is part of that trauma. When you've been traumatized, you can't remember all the details, and so sometimes you really don't know everything that happened. Yeah.
Or like you were saying, maybe it's someone else.
Someone close to them, right? So it's like, wait a minute, I trusted this person, or hey, maybe this person was a cousin, or someone in my family. I'm going to have to see them at Thanksgiving. How can I tell anyone in my family, this gonna do to my family? Or this is, maybe it was someone in class, and now I have to see that person in class, what am I gonna do, right? So it complicates everything, yeah.
This one, I don't know how accurate it is, but I think that like some of the stuff is sort of, I guess, normalized, like going through your significant other's phone. A lot of people are like, oh, who hasn't done that?
Yeah, yeah, so some of those behaviors are normalized, absolutely. Even though really what you have to do is trust your gut. Trust your gut. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel right, that's when you have to start questioning things for yourself, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. This is a very frustrating graphic for me, but it's really important. So out of every 1,000 rapes, 994 perpetrators will walk free. So out of 1,000 rapes, 310 are reported to police, 57 lead to an arrest, 11 get referred to prosecutors, 7 lead to a felony conviction, and 6 perpetrators will be incarcerated. Wow. This is also why folks don't report, because what's going to happen? Feels like that, right? So this is also why folks don't report. That's a very scary statistic. And I just did a training for law enforcement, and I showed this graphic, and they all were like, that's very real. This is very real. Like, this is not inflated at all. I'm sorry? Oh, that's okay.
Actually, I have a similar graph that it broadens it, not just rape, but crime in general. Yeah, this was
Very real, yeah.
Why is it?
Why is this? Yeah, so that is a really good question, and do you know what? So, just a week ago, I did expert witness testimony in a sexual assault case. And why it is because you can't, it's really difficult, especially if there were 2 people there, no witnesses, it's really difficult to prove lack of consent. And so sexual assault is one of the most difficult crimes to prosecute because even if that victim went and did that evidentiary exam, collected evidence off of her body, made the police report, or his body made the police report, it still doesn't prove that there was lack of consent, especially if there were no witnesses. So it makes it very difficult to prosecute the cases. Yeah. So what is sexual assault? Just to be really clear, it's any sexual contact or behavior without affirmative consent. I don't know if you've seen this. No? Okay, I'm gonna show it. I've got right 20 minutes.
Yeah, and we go until 10 to 12. So if you
Okay.
need longer, you can have longer. I don't want you to
Okay.
feel, like you have to
No,
rush.
it's just a great little video, so I want to
Okay,
show
no,
it.
I'm-
It's very short.
This is really helpful for me. What you're
Okay.
presenting is very helpful. I have my own questions too,
Okay.
so I just want to make sure I
Happy
don't
to-
get in their way.
Happy to answer. I hope
If
this
you're still
works.
struggling with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making them a cup of tea. You say, hey, would you like a cup of tea? And they go, oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you. Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, hey, would you like a cup of tea? And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you could make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important part, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you are entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say no thank you, then don't make them tea at all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea. Don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, yes please, that's kind of you. And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time that it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind. And you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. And if they're unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea. And they can't answer the question, do you want tea? Because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea. And they said yes. But in the time it took you to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk, they are now unconscious.